Hey there guys, welcome back to a brand new video. So it has been a while since I've done one of these Universe Sandbox 2 videos. It's actually been a few years at least, I think, since I've done a decent commentary one. Today we are going to be looking at what would happen if I took the Earth and I placed it closer to the Sun. Essentially, I'm just going to be creating another Earth and making an orbit around the Sun at closer proximities. So let's go ahead and do that by selecting add, and let's select the Earth. And you know what, let's start crazy and have it very, very insanely close. I'm expecting that the Earth is going to burn up. I've not done this pre-recorded. I'm just doing it as I go. I haven't investigated this before, but from common sense, I reckon that indeed it is going to burn up pretty quickly. Of course, the orbit is also going to be very quick compared to the normal Earth's orbits, since it is closer to the Sun. So what is the temperature of the Earth? We can see it is soaring. Of course, it would be hotter because it's not just going to appear. It's going to be there for ages. And I expect it to become sort of like Mercury, and sort of just a hot planet, basically. So let's speed up the simulation and see what happens. I'm surprised that the water has not evaporated yet, but I suspect it would likely be evaporated. And yeah, you can sort of see the planet is starting to become like mantleized and very, very hot. It's up to 200, approaching 300 degrees. Yeah, this is what I anticipated on happening. Obviously, no life on Earth would be possible at this stage. You can sort of see the vegetation is all dying around the planets as the sun is scorching our Earth alive. So essentially, as you'd expect, the Earth is just being burnt and scorched alive. And interestingly, you can sort of see where, not planets, but the whole thing is a planet. You can sort of see where the continents were, clearly still. That being said, that is likely going to change very, very soon. I suspect that this is just an imaging glitch, and really it would look like this at this stage. If we speed it up, what will happen? It's becoming a brighter planet as it soars towards 2000 degrees. So, as you'd expect, the Earth is being scorched, and we can actually bring it closer, which we will do soon. But heck, look at that. It's like a bright star in itself. It looks like a star. And how's the mass doing, actually? Let's go ahead. We can check the surface. As we can see, this the coolest temperature is still Antarctica in the North Pole, but it's like over 1000 degrees still, whereas the equator is like nearly 3000 degrees and going up very, very insanely high. There is no way you could survive this whatsoever. Yeah, no. Let's take a look at the mass. So the mass hasn't changed as such. The rotational period is still 24 hours. The orbit period is actually just 8 hours instead of, say, a year, essentially. So that's pretty crazy. So if we just speed this up, right up, see what happens in the long term, it sort of stabilizes at 2000 degrees. And it looks like a very bright planet. Of course, it's very close to the Sun, and not as close as Mercury, which is just an average temperature of 160 degrees, which is still heckin' hot. But when putting the Earth so close like this, oh gosh, there is no way in heck that no life can survive that whatsoever. That is pretty obvious. But let's be crazy and place the Earth even closer to the Sun and see if it can, well, burn very much more quickly, essentially, is what we're going to investigate. Let's slow down the speed again and see what happens. Oh, hello. So things just kicked off very quickly, and the planet is like pulling apart due to the huge gravitational force of the sun, and we can see that the temperature is like 5,000 degrees. That is insane. And you can sort of see all this space junk sort of orbiting around the sun itself, and I would suspect that those would perish very, very quickly and burn out very, very quickly. Same with this Earth, really. Is there... Oh, look at that. There's actually no trend whatsoever, because, like, we're so close to the sun that really, well, there's no spots where, like, there's no equator as such. It's just really some parts are hotter than the other. It is decreasing, though. Whether or not that's because the atmosphere has been completely burnt away and no, not much heat can actually become trapped. It's just a scorching planet. It will always be a scorching planet at this point, but it's not going to sustain temperatures, essentially. Okay, so that pretty much answers our question there of what would happen if it's that close. Now let's do... I don't want to say a realistic scenario, because none of these are realistic scenarios. Like, the Earth is not going to suddenly get so much closer to the sun. But let's see what happens if it's about here. So quite a bit away, but still closer than all the other planets. At this stage, I would suspect that the temperature is very, very hot. And life would still not be possible. But let's see what it gets up to. Let's increase the speed because we don't want to be sitting here forever watching it. And we can see relatively it is sort of far away from the sun, but sort of close to the sun. So obviously it's going to take a while to heat up. Let's take a look. Okay, so right away you can sort of see that the temperatures are increasing worldwide very, very rapidly. Wow. It's sort of crazy that some areas are still maintaining like negatives in that stage. Of course, it's now increasing temperature very, very quickly. Okay, so it sort of looks like it's somewhat... I was going to say stabilizing. But at some stages it's sort of getting warmer and warmer as time goes on. So if we just pass some years, quite a few years, through our simulation, what happens? Does it stabilize? Okay, it looks like we've got some stabilization now. So we've got a stabilization of 336 degrees Celsius. That is hotter than my oven. So life would not be possible on the surface whatsoever. Of course, water would not be on the planet. And yeah, no life would be possible. And Antarctica is completely melted. And so, well, what can we conclude? Well, certainly life on this planet is not possible whatsoever. But it's not a scorching planet like we did in the first stages of the video. Alright, let's see what happens if Earth shares an orbit with Mercury. So a very close orbit. We can't get this exactly the same, but I will try my best. Alright, so for some reason it did it all the way out there. It's on a very different orbit scale, but yeah, we'll go with that. Let's see what happens to our planet as I click onto a random fragment in the cosmos. Alright. What have you got for us, Earth? What temperatures have you got for us? Let's increase the simulation speed and see what happens. I'm suspecting it's going to be a very similar story to what we had before, in that we're going to get to like 300 degrees or so. Okay, so we're at 200. Increasing. So still hotter than my oven. So we're stabilized around 240 degrees or so. with some increase, very little increase. So about 243 degrees with stabilized that. Again, water wouldn't be possible. Life on the planet would not be possible. And yeah, so essentially it's the same conclusion as before. So that is what happens if we place the Earth very close to the Sun up to Mercury's orbit. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching. Subscribe for more content, and I'll see you guys in the next video. See ya!